Well, since the Democrats want to play the blame game, I'll give you the reason why I think the Democrats lost so devastatingly to Donald Trump. Now, there's plenty of blame to go around, obviously, but the brunt of the weight lies solely on the Democratic Party. Yes, I think Joe Biden should have just held to his campaign promise saying, I'm just going to be a one-term president, but anyone who runs for president is an egomaniac and thinks that they're the answer to everyone's problems. So, is it really surprising that he wanted to run for a second term? Now, I don't think Joe Biden is as bad a president as most people believe. I think the real reason he took a huge dip in his approval rating is how he pulled out of Afghanistan. No matter who the president was, whether it was Joe Biden or Donald Trump, and they decided to pull us out of Afghanistan, it was going to be a quagmire. Because you did nation building and you tried to build a puppet government friendly to the United States when the region doesn't want that. So are you really surprised things fell apart? And also at this point, the Democratic Party, their main thesis of why they're a party is we're better than the Republicans. I'm sorry, that's just not a compelling message for anyone to come out and vote for you. The one thing you can argue about President Obama, he had a cult of personality behind him as well, like Donald Trump does, but at least he gives you the veneer of change. He wasn't a change agent at all. He continued a lot of the Bush policies, and people for some reason think that he was our best president of all time. What I'm hoping the Democratic Party will do, will see this loss as, hey, maybe we should actually, campaign on giving health care to people. The Affordable Care Act was just a stopgap measure that was just shoehorned into the American healthcare system and told us that everything is great, everything's going to turn out better now, when healthcare costs are out of control. One of the biggest things that pissed me off with the Joe Biden presidency is he promised a public health care to compete with insurance companies. He didn't even bother proposing it. But the Democrats just put a Band-Aid on a problem. They're like, well, everything's fixed, so just shut up and just continue to pay outrageous insurance premiums. And during Joe Biden's presidency, when he was actually going to run again, he was trying to sell us that the American economy is great. I don't know about you and how your budget is, but food costs have become crazy to me. Before I used to be able to go and I can actually spend my paycheck fairly freely, just keeping in mind some things, but I was like, well, I can buy food and I can buy electricity and I can pay my insurance and everything's fine. And slowly, even though I work my ass off, I work about 50 hours a week. So I'm in the 60% just living paycheck to paycheck, I guess. But the Democratic Party's like, just shut up, we're better than Republicans. The only reason I'm still a Democrat is because I'd like to vote in the Democratic primary. Maybe I should switch over to the Republicans because it seems like they actually listen to their primary voters versus the Democrats who just shut that shit down immediately if they don't like the outcome. And then they'll coalesce behind someone who's more friendly to the permanent powers in Washington, ergo Joe Biden. And the Democrats who are doing all this soul searching will never look in the mirror. They'll just be like, hey, we ran a good campaign. Yeah, we got stuck with Kamala Harris, but it might have not mattered who they ran against Trump. People are pissed off and they're just like, hey, I want a different administration. Maybe they'll actually fix my life or help my life. Don't wait on any president to come fix your life because they're not. They don't have an incentive structure to fix your life. They'll just get votes and just be like, all right, now I'm in power. Now I'm not going to change anything or even help you at all. I mean, that's what President Obama did. He was just like, well, I'm going to fundamentally change the healthcare system of the United States. He didn't fundamentally change shit. And also people who are fear-mongering over Project 2025. Oh my God, the Heritage Foundation is so evil. That's what's running our healthcare system right now. Do you guys realize that these people all agree at some point? The people in both parties agree with them. It's the uni party. But now we have Donald Trump who's come in there, and some of Donald Trump's selections as far as his cabinet's concerned, I'm looking at it from an outsider and I'm just like, well, he's a warmonger. That person's a warmonger. I know Trump's not anti-war. And maybe the main premise behind it is like, hey, I'm going to pick a bunch of warmongers and maybe the enemies of the United States won't try anything because I literally have insane people around me who will just tell me yes. But I don't expect Democrats to ever do any self-reflection. I mean, they put up Hillary Clinton when the base didn't want Hillary Clinton. They put up Joe Biden when the base didn't want Joe Biden. What are they going to do? It's just going to be business as usual. Hey, the consultants get rich, so who cares about that? I don't need to help the average voter. Because imagine we're in this world. Joe Biden actually passes a public option for healthcare. Let's say it's even well-funded because he had some supermajorities at some point. People would look at that and be like, hey, I could leave my job and go find healthcare in other places and I can actually get healthcare from the government. I don't necessarily agree with this, but if you want to raise the minimum wage, you could be like, hey, some people would be like, now I'm making $15 an hour. They actually fundamentally help my life. But the Democratic Party will never give you stuff like this. We'll help unions that give money to Democrats. Of course we'll help them. But when it comes to the average American, they're suckers. They just vote for us anyways because they're so afraid of Donald Trump. It's kind of like being in a terrible relationship. Hey, I'm the best one for you, so you're never going to find anyone else who will help you. I'm the greatest ever, and I'm just going to lie to you the whole time and make you question your own reality. And then once you actually stand up to me, you might find out Donald Trump is not all that scary because he's just going to govern like a standard Republican. And if you voted for Donald Trump, I respect you. I understand why. The Democrats don't offer anything. You have all these promises made by the Harris campaign, and voters just got fed up because I don't think she was going to do anything to really help us. And one of the biggest lies during her campaign, she was telling us that she was going to pass a bill to actually reinstitute Roe versus Wade. She doesn't have the power to do that by herself. And given the House and Senate were both Republicans, it wasn't going to pass. She was saying, oh, I'm going to give a tax credit to people who are first-time home buyers. Again, dealing with both houses of Congress that are controlled by Republicans. Why would they help you with your agenda? It reminds me with the Affordable Care Act when President Obama's like, I need to work with Republicans in order to help healthcare in the United States. And then they took out things like the public option, and you're surprised that no Republicans vote for it. They don't agree with your ideas. So why are you catering to that party? And you know why they cater to that party? It's because they don't care about their voters. They're not for change. They're just fine. Most of the people who voted for Kamala Harris are very well off. And not to mention some of the dumbass things Kamala Harris decided to spend money on during this campaign. Hey, we need to purchase the Sphere as an ad. That's not persuading people to vote for you. That's just seeing her mug on an advertisement. That's how little they think of us. They're like, oh, the people who actually vote for us are dumb enough to vote for us because they just saw a billboard, I guess. People aren't as stupid as you think they are. I'm not going to blame the voters. The voters vote for whoever they want, and I respect whatever decision actually comes out of it. Until the Democrats actually advocate for real change like Donald Trump is, whether that change is good or bad is up to you, they're going to continue to lose elections.